Alicia Powell in Washington for TvAbraham. This is Inside the Capitol. Today we turn to one of the most defining debates in Washington, not whether Iran's regime is a threat, but how the United States, Israel, and key Arab allies should respond to a danger that has grown more complex, more entrenched, and more urgent. On Capitol Hill, Republicans and Democrats do not speak with one voice. They differ on the risk of escalation and on the lessons of the past. But across party lines, there is a shared recognition of the facts. For years, the Iranian regime has expanded its reach, strengthened its military capabilities, and deepened instability across the region. This is not a struggle against the Iranian people, nor is it a conflict with a faith. It is a challenge posed by a ruling system that has built its power through repression, proxy warfare, and permanent confrontation. So the question now is not simply what Iran is, the question is what comes next, and whether America and its partners are ready to meet. What constitutes victory? What U.S. and regional interests justify these operations? How does the conflict affect posture against China and Russia? And must Congress authorize continued or expanded actions?
Oh, I don't think the president requires pre-authorization for a single military strike, particularly in the case of Iran, where they are violating numerous pieces of international law and international treaties and trying to develop a nuclear program. So, listen, I hope that the Iranian government will do the right thing and give up their nuclear program, but if they don't,
We seem to be on a chaotic, confused path toward involving American troops on the ground, which would be the only way to achieve regime change if that's a continuing objective here. Regime change can't be accomplished from 30,000 feet. Bombing has never changed a government. And my deepest fear is that we may be engaging in a forever war involving boots on the ground against the wishes of the overwhelming majority of the American people who find that kind of involvement absolutely abhorrent and self-defeating.
The question of timing is a very important one, right? Because President Trump has been, I believe, not just patient, but generous with his patience with Iran, allowing it to go as long as it did, giving them multiple opportunities over the course of a year. It was last March. It was a year ago that he sent the letter to the Ayatollah, suggesting that they start talking about the reduction of their nuclear capabilities. And for a year, they've ignored those. And so I think what the president wanted to do is give every opportunity for a peaceful, negotiated outcome. But when after Midnight Hammer, the Iranians still didn't understand how serious he was, then it became pretty clear that they weren't very serious. At the same time, he asked for more negotiations. He still wanted to have a peaceful resolution. And instead of coming to the table, they stalled while they were advancing their nuclear capabilities, while they're building up their ballistic missile capabilities. And I think the president, I applaud his timing. If he would have waited much longer, they might have had these capabilities. I don't see any point in letting your adversary, who's both proclaimed and proven that they're willing to use weapons against you, to give them that opportunity. He took that opportunity away, and I think his timing was perfect. More powers vote. I think it's great that we dismissed it. We dismissed that resolution with more votes than even the previous resolutions. It's appropriate, and I think we are living at a time, whether you support the president's decision or not, we have military men and women in harm's way fighting for the freedom of our country as well as others, and it's inappropriate for patriotic, responsible leaders in our legislature, in the United States Senate, to even bring a resolution like that at a moment like this. You can disagree, the senators who brought the resolution do disagree, but the fact that an entire party except for one, the Democratic Party except for one member, voted for it, I think is shameful. And I hope we're done with this nonsense. I think part of their strategy is both to embarrass Donald Trump, they hate Donald Trump more than they love America, and that it's also to lock up the floor of the Senate so we don't do other business like, let's say, funding the Department of Homeland Security, as an example. So I'm embarrassed for them, and I think they ought to get over themselves. We also have a president who makes decisions based on what he knows at the moment, and he's going to protect the United States of America, even if it's not even if it has some negative ramifications for his political party. I'm ready to live with those.
Well, you know what, this administration has failed to articulate what the goal is. They have failed to articulate what the end game is. They have done so at a great cost to the American people, the lives that have been lost through our American military, and as well as the fact that this is going to cause escalating costs at home. So the focus is all off and is done without a goal that has been articulated and without congressional authority.
How will we know what victory looks like in this war, and how are we defining victory in this context?
Yeah, that's a real problem. We've been asking that of the Trump administration, and they have about 10 different answers, which means they have no answer at all. Some of them are saying it's going to be over in a few days, some are saying a few months, and some are saying forever war.
I have no idea because the president hasn't articulated what he means. He said, we'll bomb till we stop them. He encourages Iranians to take over their own government, but that's a jump ball, not a plan, so I don't know what he intends. And even in classified, the other day, the administration didn't share what it is. I mean, I'm assuming they're just viewing bomb till they stop, but that's just my assumption.
They're on the ropes. They've been murdering us for 47 years. Are we supposed to just keep letting them do it? Let's finish it. Now, China loves Iran because Iran's been sitting there not only selling at discounted oil, China's entire economy runs off Iranian oil. So folks who say we're somehow going soft on China because we're hitting Iran, they don't understand at all how the global sub-economy is working, where China depends on cheap Iranian oil to keep their economy running. Secondly, both China and Russia use rogue states like Venezuela and Iran to destabilize U.S. interests all over the world. So to think we're not focusing on China when we're focusing on things like Venezuela and Iran is flat out wrong, because China wants Iran and Venezuela to continue to be rogue actors, to continue to kill Americans, continue to move drugs, money, and rogue oil around the world, because that's how their economy runs. Same thing for Putin. Once the entire regime's dead and the Iranian people rise up, we're done. When the regime's totally gone and can't murder any more Americans, then we've won. We're cutting off China's access to 10% priced oil. We're cutting off China's access to unlimited regional destabilization. We want terrorists dead who kill Americans, and we're doing that right now.
Lawmakers from both sides of the aisle laid out their views on the critical next steps and whether Washington has the will to finish what must be done. The clock is ticking. America and its partners cannot afford hesitation. I'm Alicia Powell in Washington. This is Inside the Capitol on TvAbraham.